Hi, sisters. I'm back to continue the conversation on Africana Womanism. And this time I'll be sharing about the characteristic adaptable. Excuse me in advance because I'm going to be looking back and forth at my notes to make sure that I don't miss any points. So in her book, Clenora Hudson-Weems talks about the Black woman being adaptable in the sense of being creative and nourishing the needs and goals that contribute to the family within the same dwelling, which is in stark contrast to the behaviors of a more modern, uncultured woman who insists on having separate space in order to be successful. Remember, ladies, in our culture, that family and togetherness is fundamental and it is celebrated. So we should be very cautious and leery about following any model that suggests we're better when we separate from our families. And that is something that is so important to keep reminding ourselves, because you know as well as I do that the idea of individualism and isolation is everywhere in society. So we've got to constantly be dialoguing with our culture for direction on how to best navigate our lives. In our culture of women who subscribe to the Nguzo Saba, we understand that managing home, work, and self-development within the same dwelling and with the help of family is the best way for us and our families. Now, as I was preparing for this message, initially I thought about adaptable as meaning to be able to adjust to your environment. But the more I sat with it, I came up with a more full understanding of being able to adjust to your environment in a way that sustains life. So that means we're not just adjusting to any and everything. And we're not swayed to compromise our way of life just to fit in or go with the flow when it's something that degrades, diminishes, or destroys us. We are in a predicament now in which our families are struggling. You can look at the overall conditions of our people to know that is true. Some of us are suffering socially, financially, and culturally too. This state of being is not sustainable to life. It leads to all kinds of oppression, manipulation, suppression, depression, and death. Ladies of culture, we have to stay ready to adapt so that we can maneuver successfully amidst all these traps, perils, and confusion. And as women of culture, we understand that this requires a collective effort. So now let's talk about adaptability in our relationships and adjusting to support familyhood. Often we hear a lot of pushback from socially gullible women when we start talking about changing for a man. But we've got to realize that the pushback comes from a learned mindset of opposition to our men, to our families, and ourselves. The learned mindset of Western culture, independent and free, doing my own thing, reckless behavior and zero accountability, not my problem kind of attitude. Being irresponsible to ourselves and future generations. This is the learned mindset that plagues us in this society. And without the anchor of our culture, we're subject to more of the same. Again, remember, we live in a society that promotes excessive individualism while diminishing the value of families. So, it's time out for allowing influences outside of our own culture to guide our mindset and decision making. No longer can we be willing to go with whatever may be popular at any given time, because that is to our detriment. Women who desire to live in culture, I encourage you to abandon the traits that don't support complementary male and female engagement in our communities. That man who is serious about improving conditions for his family and his people will require a complement who can adjust accordingly. And in the long run, ladies, being adaptable won't reduce us, but instead will elevate us. I want you to consider this. By nature, you're already a complement, but something forced you out of it. This environment changed you from a complement and a cooperative to your black man into a competitor. Let me repeat that. Society gave you a misguided path as it relates to how you view your man. You feel he's trying to change you, but in actuality, you're trying to push back on what you naturally are. My final piece. Remember, ladies, we don't dismiss and negate rightful and or principled guidance from our men. We work in complementarity to improve ourselves, our families, and our communities. And when we are at our higher natural level as complements to each other, we cannot be diminished. So, join our cultural ministry family at Starting Point with Zara to learn more and for direction in living a more cultured life. Peace and see you guys next time.